Alright, Season 4 was largely good, but there were some clear bumps along the way.
Oh my god, oh, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass.
There are, however, 5 particular things in this season that I find quite frankly and quite clearly stupid that I really want to emphasize. I originally just wanted to make a video about how I think they could have or should have played out the Battle of Viltrum so that the coalition could have had the highest chance of winning and assassinating Thrag. But I realized that's really not the only thing that irked me this season. And so, speaking of, first, the battle over Viltrum.
But once Thrag is gone, the others will fall one by one. Alone, Thrag could defeat any one of us. But together, we have a chance to end this war forever. Kill Thrag! Yes!
Yeah, that was just stupid. But why? Well, firstly, they did not stick to their original plan, their original objective. They know none of them could take Thrag one-on-one alone, so they planned to originally take him down together and pour every anti-Viltromite weapon on him, on Thrag, and yet they did not do that. Instead of rushing Thrag, who's literally right in front of them, like literally a couple paces in front of them, they allowed themselves to be separated from each other, fighting scattered individual battles across space. So much for the kill Thrag! Anyway, they literally could have rushed him, pushed some of the Viltrumites that were maybe in front of them before they could reach Thrag away, and the strong members like Omni-Man, Alan, Mark, and even perhaps Oliver could have perhaps restrained Thrag, while Zoe and Space Racer could have fired their weapons at him, aimed their weapons at him. Also, why was Space Racer so late to the battle? Even if they couldn't restrain him, they could at least perhaps distract and maneuver him in a way to give Zoe and Space Racer a clear shot at him with their own weapons. That plan would have increased their chances to actually kill or harm Thrag. But no, apparently let yourselves get separated and fight messy, scattered individual battles over Viltrum instead.
Imbeciles.
Oh, but the coalition wasn't the only stupid battle here. Right before this, the assault on Talescria, which is my second stupid thing this season, led by Thrag himself, was also a grave, ridiculous failure.
That he and his allies are safe on his adopted planet.
Talescria is too well defended.
Is it?
Your words, our deeds.
I actually mentioned this in my Thrag video, link above, by the way, if you want to check that out, but it really, really irked me by how stupid it is. Very similar issues, actually. First, they lay out an objective to decisively strike at Talescria, to take out Thedas and his allies, but Thedas, more importantly, as Thrag was monologuing to his emotional support skull alone after meeting Krieg. A decent objective to destabilize the coalition, actually. However, in execution, it was just a mess. They just launched themselves in with no coordination, barely any coordination, just striking at anything that lives or stands, and when one of them does find Thedas, Krieg does find Thedas, there is no plan to sync up and gang on him to secure a kill. Also, why did Thrag, who could have, as I pointed out previously in my previous video, not just decimate Talescria on his own? Just like how Nolan decimated and destroyed, utterly destroyed, the entire Flaxen homeworld on his own. He is already leagues beyond Nolan and the other Viltrumites. Surely he could have destroyed Talescria single-handedly, let alone with an entourage of Viltrumites with him. And as shown, he could literally one-shot Thedas in the very next episode, so why not set up some comms and when Thedas is found, just zoom in for the kill? I don't know. Both the Coalition and Viltromite assaults really looked stupid in these fights. Both had decisive objectives to eliminate the other's leader, to destabilize each other's, empire or coalition, and yet ended up scattered and disorganized. Not to mention how stupid both looked for not using their best, most effective weapons to eliminate, their original objectives. Like, it's just stupid. Specifically, however, for the Viltrumite assault on Talescria, I was thinking it would have probably made more sense if, let's say, it turned out this way instead. Thrag instead did not join and left the assassination of Thedas to the rest of the Viltrumite host and party, and then a whole fight ensues showing how powerful Thedas is. He holds off Krieg and the other Viltrumites present, and with the help of the coalition allies like Alan and Omni-Man, etc., fight back Krieg and push out his forces. Krieg then returns to Thrag, failing to kill Thedas, and Thrag does a "I'll do it myself" kind of moment, and then the very next episode he kills Thedas in the battle over Viltrum, showing how really powerful he is compared to Thedas. I think that would have made much more sense than what happened here, so yeah. So those two battles really irked me by how stupid their executions were, and thirdly, the third one is in the Hell episode. I was honestly being a sucker for lore in this episode, very intrigued by the lore reveal, the lore dumps. I just really like those types of things. And aside from the falling scene, which really took way too long, I think there's no dispute about that. The way they hyped up Satan, however, for him to just essentially be useless in the last and final battle against Volcanica it's just ridiculous. And one more thing, Damien said the crown was fragile and yet it managed to survive falling into the bottomless pit with Cerberus. Yeah, that's an inconsistency I just noticed wanted to mention. But anyway, like seriously, one of the main issues in the episode that really irked me, Satan lost his powers and now Volcanica is threatening the world because he couldn't keep her in check. That's the issue, that's the problem that they're trying to solve. But when they actually do restore Satan's powers, he barely fights in the main battle against Volcanica and gets literally one-shotted by Volcanica. So what was the point of all that build-up and framing Satan's restoration as part of the solution for Volcanica if he literally just gets one-shotted by Volcanica? And speaking of building up something just to ignore it, the fourth thing that utterly irked me this season was how they suddenly ended Debbie and Paul's relationship, only to seemingly start writing how she will eventually get back with Nolan. I made a video arguing why Debbie should not get back with Nolan and why that is a mistake, so check that one out if you're interested. It just cheapens their characters and arcs for me. Now, in the comics, as far as I do know, Debbie is not exactly the principled, complex, strong-willed character that we have in the show, who has a lot of agency herself, and two, Paul was clearly written as an inconsequential little fling that she just suddenly has and gets rid of easily. So it makes sense in the comics to suddenly get rid of Paul. But in the show, Debbie and Paul's relationship was not superficial. It's not just a fling. It was built up for multiple seasons. We see the depth of their relationship and what they're willing to do for each other, the effort that they both have put in. Paul getting used to and finding his place in this superhero alien family and providing a counterbalance and even contrast to all of them. And Debbie finding a partner in Paul that gets her and makes her happy. Getting a release from the horrible, truly horrible betrayal which was Nolan. Of which this was part of her arc of getting over Nolan and what he left her. All this build-up for her character and her new relationship, her new family, this new life, only to end it so suddenly. They were already planning on buying a house, a home together for their kids, for her new family. This is just stupid, at least to me. So much development and build-up in her relationship, in their relationship, in her new found family. I mean, Oliver was also like a new addition to her family. That's also part of her arc. In addition to Paul, all of this build-up just to ruin it and cast it aside. Ridiculous, in my opinion. And am I really to seriously accept that the end goal is for her and Nolan to eventually get back together? I refuse it. Simply. All that character growth on Debbie, all that she went through, for her to move on and make something new for herself, for her life, just for her to get back into those Viltromite arms. Literally. And lastly, this is more stupidity on the character themselves, no problem necessarily with the writing. But as advanced as the Viltromite Empire is, surely they should have anticipated and had their defenses screening for every foreign celestial object that enters their solar system, let alone the atmosphere of their home central capital planet of Viltrum. The fact that they just let asteroids come in knowing that they have enemies that probably really want to, hurt them, is something that I really found to be simply stupidity on their part. Again, this is not stupid writing, as it shows how arrogant they really are, and that they wouldn't even make contingencies to scan for foreign celestial bodies that come into their atmosphere. And that's why they, well, I suppose, paid the price for it. I will elaborate on the sheer stupidity that is the Viltrum Empire in a future video, coming soon, right after this one, comparing them to real-world empires in history, showing how their empire was doomed to fail in a realistic setting anyway, and the many flaws and holes in their empire, and what we also saw as their policies in the show. So stay tuned for that one. Anyhow, those were the 5 main things I really found to be stupid in Invincible Season 4. Let me know if you agree or perhaps not. Looking forward to discussing with all of you fellow minds down below. And if you found other things stupid this season, do also present them down below. I will see you fellow minds down below to discuss, and right back here within mine mind.